What's going on, guys? It's your average consumer, and today we've got a showdown between the smartest speakers you'll come across: the Apple HomePod, the Amazon Echo Plus, and the Google Home Max. If you're in the market for a smart speaker, you're probably going to be looking at these guys. And the reason why we're going with the Amazon Echo Plus and the Google Home Max is because Apple has put a significant amount of effort into making this a really awesome sounding speaker. So we've got to get the best speakers that these companies offers and see how they stack up against the HomePod. And all of these speakers have built-in voice assistants that will answer your questions, do different tasks that you ask them to. So the Amazon Echo has Alexa, stop listening. The HomePod has Siri, of course, and the Google Home Max has the Google Assistant. Now I'm gonna ask these a bunch of different questions and kind of see what they can do. So we'll start off with the Amazon Echo. What time is it?
The time is 12:40 p.m.
What time is it?
It's 12:40 p.m.
Google Home. What time? Oh. What time is it?
12:40.
Okay, so that's pretty much how you activate these. But now let's ask them some questions. What's the weather today?
In Newark, it's 34 degrees with cloudy skies. Today, you can look for lots of clouds, with a high of 35 degrees and a low of 31 degrees.
That's a lot of information right there.
It's currently cloudy and 35 degrees in Newark. Temperatures will be fairly consistent, averaging about 35 degrees.
One thing I like is that her voice doesn't sound so robotic.
In Newark today, expect a high of 36 and a low of 34.
But there you have it. Those are the kind of questions you'll probably be asking it every morning, every now and then right before you step out. But for some more hard-hitting questions, how many Final Fantasy games were ever made?
I found 40 Final Fantasy video games, including Final Fantasy 15, Final Fantasy 7 Remake,
no.
Final Fantasy
Alexa,
12.
Stop. She was about to list all 40. How many Final Fantasy games were created?
I can't get the answer to that on HomePod.
How many Final Fantasy games were created?
My apologies. I don't understand.
Ooh, that's surprising. I'd expect Google to be able to answer that. How many Final Fantasy games were ever made?
Sorry, I'm not sure how to help.
Google, you need to get it together. Alexa's beating you in the search department. What are the names of Saturn's moons?
I can't get the answer to that on HomePod.
What are the names of Saturn's moons?
Here's something I found on Wikipedia. The moons of Saturn are numerous and diverse, ranging from tiny moonlets less than 1 kilometer across to the enormous Titan, which is larger than the planet Mercury.
Okay. What are the names of Saturn's moons?
Saturn has moons Titan, Enceladus, Mimas, and others.
Okay, we got a few names out of them, so Google with the search. So Siri wasn't able to answer at all. But that just goes to show you Siri needs a little bit more help in the search department. It's not fully there yet. And in our last video comparing the Echo to the Google Home, me and Ari had them sing Happy Birthday. They both did it. Google had a little bit more soul to it.
Happy birthday to you.
Oh, she got more soul.
She's melting out.
But we're gonna see if the HomePod can do it too. Sing Happy Birthday.
Sure, absolutely. Ahem. Okay, here I go. Ahem. Hang on, let me just clear my... Gosh, singing is harder than it looks.
Okay, that's a lot of build up for nothing. But all right, so Siri I think she decided to not do that. Now these are also voice assistants, so you can ask them to set reminders or even to set an alarm, things like that. And they can all do that. The only weird thing is, of course, HomePod doesn't have the calendar functionality yet, so you can't ask it to set any events or read your events. It was weird. Google came out with the same feature missing, and it got it later on, of course. So that's something we're gonna have to wait and see come to the HomePod. But we're gonna see how long it takes. Surprised that it didn't come out at launch. All right, but now we've gotta try out the music portion. These all are the best options, like I said before, for each of these companies. So let's see. Play Drake's God's Plan.
They wish and I wish and I wish and I wish and they wishing on me. Pull up at 6 a.m. to cuddle with me. You know how I like it when you loving on me. Yes, I see the things that they wishing on me. Don't pull up at 6 a.m. to cuddle with me. You know how I like it when you loving on me. I don't wanna die things that they wishing on me. Hope I got some brother.
Alexa,
They gon' touch.
stop. It's actually painful. She pales in comparison to the HomePod.
I don't wanna die for them to miss me. Yes, I see
That
the
bass,
things
though.
that they wish. Got some brothers that outlive me. They gon' tell the story, shit was different with me. God's plan. God's plan.
Now the Google Home sounds great, but something that I immediately noticed is that I wanted to move forward so I could actually hear it. But when it comes to these two, it doesn't matter what direction you're in, you can be anywhere around them. They have 360 audio, so you can be anywhere and still hear the music the same way you would no matter where you placed it. Where this guy, you've got to have it facing you in order to hear the best quality. Apple actually put in a bunch of technology here and software to make sure that wherever you place this, you're going to get the best sound quality possible out of the HomePod. So placement is something you have to take into consideration. Now, of course, music's a big part of all of these speakers because they're speakers. So there are tons of streaming apps out there, Spotify being one of the biggest, of course. But Google Home actually allows you to stream from a ton of different streaming services. So that's a really good look on Google's end. I think Amazon Echo really focuses on Amazon Music and Amazon Prime Music, I believe it's called. And even Spotify can work on this. But when it comes to the HomePod, HomePod uses Apple Music. You can beam music to it from your phone, but you can't call out to ask it to play something from Spotify. That functionality just isn't here yet. You're gonna have to be pretty deep in the Apple ecosystem and have Apple Music to really take advantage of all of the controls it has. If you're on Spotify though, you're probably gonna wanna look at something like these, unless you're okay with sending music from your phone over to the HomePod. But in terms of sheer compatibility with streaming services, Google Home, that's where it's at. One thing to also note is that these all have touch controls. So there's a touch panel on the top of the HomePod where you can play and pause, and you kind of use it like an inline remote. It also has the volume controls. For the Echo, you have a mute button, as well as a little button here that you can use to activate Alexa. And it also has a little dial at the top so you can control the volume if you would like. And for the Google Home Max, you've got a touch panel at the top where you can control the volume. You can slide it up and down to control your volume. So you've got those options. Now, when it comes to actually controlling the smart home, these all have smart home integration with a ton of products out there. For the Amazon Echo, there are a jillion products out there that use this and actually have Alexa integration. As far as the Google Home, at first it had a really rocky start and didn't have nearly as many compatible products as the Echo. But as of today, I really find that the gap has been well closed. Now, Apple has the Apple HomeKit. The products that work with this are labeled, HomeKit compatible. So there aren't as many, I would say, as the Echo and the Google Home. I say give it the same amount of time as the Google Home has had on the market, and it'll probably catch up, but it is a bit more behind as of right now. Now, aesthetically, if I had to choose one, I think it'd be a pretty safe bet to say I'd go with the HomePod. Honestly, this small compact size, while still having really great sound, is a winner for me. The Google Home Max, it is bigger and has honestly a ton more bass, but that is because it is a bigger device overall. So, depending on how much space you have, you can use it like this. Hey, you can even lie it down if you want. Take it this way. But it's all up to you. I think this looks the best. The Amazon Echo, honestly, this isn't an award-winning design here. It looks like a giant speaker, but it does come in a bunch of different color options. And now their second generation, which is smaller, has like fabric design, so you can choose what you want it to look like. But I'd say in terms of overall looks though, I'd have to go with this. But side note, I think the black version of this looks really, really clean. Now, when it comes to pricing, the HomePod is $350, which is quite a bit more than the Amazon Echo. I believe this goes for $170 right now. And the Google Home Max is even more expensive at $400. Luckily for it though, it does have a smaller alternative with the regular Google Home, which is I think about $100 or $120. And that second generation Echo is only $80. So you have cheaper options, while the HomePod is the only option at $350. Now, when it comes to actually picking which one to go with, you're of course gonna wanna factor in budget. That's what a lot of people would put on the top of their list. But you're also gonna wanna take into consideration what these speakers are meant to do. For the HomePod, Apple seems to have focused on making this a really good sounding speaker with some smart functionality. So as of right now, you're not gonna get something that's quite as smart as the Google Home or the Amazon Echo, but you will be getting a great sounding sounding speaker. But if you're looking for an all-out powerful music player, Google Home is definitely something you're gonna wanna look into. While between the two of these, I think the Google Home is a bit more powerful, but I do think the Apple HomePod is a bit on the cleaner side of things. So you're gonna wanna make that choice if you want cleaner audio versus more loud and powerful audio. Now, one thing you're gonna wanna take into consideration is the ecosystem. If you've got an Android phone or even an iPhone, you'll be fine with the Google Home, whether it's the Max or the normal one. You'll be able to use it no problem. You can actually do that with the Echo as well. The Echo, what I really like about its ecosystem is that you've got this, the Echo Dot. There are tons of different Echo products, and a lot of smart home product manufacturers are making sure their products are working with the Amazon Echo. HomePod itself only works with iOS devices, so you can't use it with an Android. So you gotta be pretty deep in the Apple ecosystem. You can only use Apple Music to really listen to music unless you use your iOS device to stream music to it. So that's something to keep in mind as well. But if I had to personally choose, I would probably go Google Home Max, simply because it has pretty good sound as well as all of the smart features that I want to use immediately. But if I could mix and match and make this a Frankenstein of some sort, I would take the Google Smart Assistant and all of its smartness and take the sound quality and the design of the HomePod. That would be my ideal. Put Google Assistant in here with all of Apple's tech. That would work perfectly. And this, you know, it's cheaper. So there's that. But that about wraps it up for this video, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed. Let me know in the comments down below which you would use to set up your smart home, play your music, answer your questions all the time. Let me know with a comment down below, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Till then, it's your average consumer. Peace.